Respected Madam Member, my name is Poonam Sharma. I am representing Mr. Philip in the IAD hearing in regards to the refusal of his permanent resident travel document. To start the proceeding, I have few questions for you, Mr. Philip. First of all, tell me, how are you this morning?
I'm doing good, madam. How are you?
Thank you, good. Okay, so tell me, when and how did you come to Canada?
I came to Canada as a permanent resident in October 2013 through a skilled worker program.
And
Uh,
for how long did you stay in Canada?
I stayed here little more than 6 months after I got my permanent residency.
When and why did you return to Brazil?
I had to return to Brazil to attend my sick grandmother and to take care of my daughter. Went back in March of 2015.
Does your grandmother have any other relative in Brazil? Who else was available to take care of her?
No, actually, my grandmother and my daughter they live alone over there. I don't have any other relatives. I have two sisters who live in Portugal and England with their young families. So I didn't have anybody else to look after.
How did you support yourself in Brazil? Were you working?
No, I was not working. I didn't had any chance to work as I was attending my grandmother due to her illness, and I was just using up my savings which I had in my Canadian bank account. Whatever money I had made in Canada, I was using that.
Were you employed in Canada? What
Yes,
happened to that employment?
yes, I was employed in Canada, and I was employed as a IT specialist for a cyber security and internal technology, company as an IT specialist. Uh, Unfortunately, I had to leave that job as I kept extending my leave. Like I had, like they did allow me 3 times to extend my leave, but at the end of it, the company said that they cannot do it any longer, and yeah, they let go of me. So yeah.
Do you have any family in Canada?
No, not really a family, but not anymore. But I had a relationship with Rosemary, who was my girlfriend, and we were living together. We had bought a condo together, and yeah, like we were trying to have a future together.
And what happened to the condo you bought with your girlfriend?
Again, due to this, all the financial burden I had, and I was using up all my savings, and I didn't have any money left to take care of my, grandmother and my daughter. I had to sell that condo off, and also due to the fact that my relationship with my girlfriend had broken off, and we got a deal done in May of 2019, and yeah, I sold that condo.
Okay. So you mentioned that your relationship with your girlfriend is already like this. You separated?
Yes, that's
When
right.
did you separated?
Yes, that's correct. I mean, the long distance relationship didn't actually fade well with her, and she wanted me to come back, which I couldn't do it because of the ill health of my grandmother, and that's the reason we had to break off.
Okay. In the file you said you applied from Canada. Can you please tell us the status of that application?
Yes, actually, my daughter's application was approved, and we received the COPR. But since I was busy taking care of my grandmother, I couldn't come back to Canada myself. And I mean, since my daughter is a minor, I couldn't really send her off to come to Canada by herself. So yeah, I didn't do anything about it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Philip. These were the questions from my side. Now move on, Mr.
Thank you.
Yeah. Over to you, Mr. Domingo.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Poonam. Mr. Philip, I have some questions for you here to continue.
Sure, sir.
Um, what did you try to return to Canada after all this happening? What efforts did you make to try to return to Canada?
Yes, I was very much trying to return to Canada as especially after the death of my grandmother in February of 2018. Uh, I didn't really had money at that time, and my PR card had expired. So even though I was trying to come back, but I didn't had any resources or any money left for me. I was not in a stable position to come back to Canada.
Okay, so your card was expired,
Mhm.
and were you aware at the stage? Were you aware that if you were to stay out of Canada for a certain period of time, that it would impact your PR status in Canada? Are you aware of that residency obligation of 730 days?
I would say yes and no as well, because I was aware that there are residency obligations, but I was under the impression that Canada does uh, give consideration to the fact that like I was attending my grandmother. This was genuine circumstances, and you know uh, difficult times for my family, where I had to stay with my family and help them out. So like there was no other option for me other than staying away from Canada for this long.
Okay, and that's unfortunate. But so if you were to remain in Brazil, and would you be able to get a good employment, or can you fully utilize your IT skills?
Uh, no, I don't think so, because like as Canada is very advanced in technology and use of technology, and I have did my study here in Brazil, and the reason for me to migrate to Canada was such that like I was not able to use my education to the fullest, and I was being paid very less. Like it was basically pennies out of the same amount of job and more effort what I was putting in Brazil. So that was the reason why I moved to Canada, initially as well. So yeah, I don't think I'll be able to utilize my talent with what I can
Mhm.
do in Canada.
Is it fair to say that you're more at ease working in Canada compared to working in Brazil?
Yes, definitely. Like I am very much comfortable. I know the in and outs of the work environment in Canada. And I was very actually getting used to that atmosphere and environment. So yeah, I would say that my better I'll be better off working in Canada than anywhere else.
Okay. So uh, do you have family and families and friends live in Canada, or do you have good family support if you were to come back to Canada?
I don't have a family, but I would say I have a lot of friends, like even friends who have helped me out in getting my stuff around from like when I sold my apartment and all that. So they do keep connect with me, and I have friends from my old workplace where they keep in touch with me. They have been happy to provide me references for my future job opportunities and all that. So yes, I do have a lot of friends in Canada.
Okay. Okay. So, and let's talk about your daughter. Do you think your daughter will be able to adjust to life in Canada? And do you think she has a better chance of getting a good education?
Oh yes, definitely. Like especially for her, like she has already seen a lot of hardships in her life, like starting with the death of my wife in an accident while she was a baby, and after that, like look seeing my grandmother going through all this, medical issues, having and then eventually dying off with those conditions. And Yeah, I think she deserves a better life, better future, and I believe Canada can definitely provide that.
Okay, and if you're not allowed to go back to Canada, do you think this will cause hardship to you and your child?
Oh, definitely hardships, like as you are as you know, like we have been in Canada for like last few years, and like we haven't experienced like in Brazil, like we like, even if I've tried to get job, like I was not able to find any, and there was not anything which would pay me well, and my daughter is also struggling with her education, and yeah, I would definitely say that there's lots of hardships, and like still Canada is definitely a great option and a great start for us.
Okay, and if your request is denied, Mr. Philip, what do you think will happen to you?
It'll be uh, like you'll be devastated for sure, and I mean, I don't know, like I haven't really thought about anything else than Canada. Like this is what I have always done. To start with, this has been our dream to come to Canada since last 2009-10, when we initially applied for a future in Canada, coming over here to immigrate and all that. So I don't know. It'll be very, like, we'll be in desperate times if this thing doesn't go through. So I mean, I would request again, to grant us the permanent resident travel document to come to Canada again. Thank you.
Okay. Now, thank you very much, Mr. Philip. That's all the questions I have for you this morning, and thank you, Madam Member. I have no further questions.
Morning, Madam Member. My name is Syed Taqi Zaidi, RCIC and IRB. Will be making a submission in for this IAD proceeding for Mr. Philip Torres. I would like to start with that this IAD hearing has to be granted in favor of Mr. Philip Torres. I'll be providing the reasons and case files and previous case studies, which would actually help you make the decision. Uh, like I would like to give an example of Singh versus Canada case in from Supreme Court of Canada in 2007, where the appellant was granted PRTD, even though they had stayed away from Canada for more than 5 years. In that particular case, the appellant was granted PRTD with considering the hardships of the child, which was in question in that particular case. And I also would like to would like you to consider De Castro versus Canada 2018, where again the hardships of the child was considered to be the compelling factors for making a decision in favor of the appellant who was granted a PRTD document. In this case, Mr. Philip Torres has been away from Canada in order to attend his grandmother. I would say it will be compelling to put it in this way, that the grandmother who he went back to attend to was actually a godmother for him, since his parents has died while he was very young, and his grandmother was all he had to take care for all his life. And since his sisters were away, and caring for their young family, and on top of it, like Esther Phillips' daughter was staying with the grandmother, and since the grandmother got sick, there was no other way that Philip would have stayed away in Canada without going back. So he didn't really had an option but to go back to his grandmother and daughter and take responsibility of both of them. um, the daughter was actually uh, granted COPR, since he had applied for sponsorship for his daughter, and also if you look at the way that it'll be easier to question that Did Mr. Philip try to come back to Canada? Yes, he did try to come back to Canada. He was always wanting to come back to Canada, but did he had the resources and financials to come back to Canada? No, he did not, because he had spent all his savings, what we had when he was working in Canada. He saved a bunch of money, he bought a condo and all that, but he had to spend all those for his ailing grandmother, and also spend on his daughter. So he didn't had much resources for him to come back to Canada right away. And once he sold his condo, and he generated enough financials, he had enough cash in his hand. He did, the first thing he did was to apply for PRTD, and he was declined. So I believe he did not waste any time in thinking about coming back to Canada. And yeah, they were like there was not much he could do to actually avoid these circumstances, and just come back and continue with his life. And I believe these are compelling factors, for a child, if he was denied this, and they will have definite hardships, and they will not be able to uh, get the life what they had actually dreamed for and worked hard for it. So I would request Madam Member to issue them and grant them the grant Mr. Philip Torres his permanent resident travel document. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Madam Member, for attending this IAD hearing. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.